The party has traversed into the Shadowfell in search of a powerful death giant wizard called Vecthos. They enter the domain of dread called the Valley of Death, which is ruled by Vecthos' Iron Fist. The party comes to his adamantine keep, which looms high and is illuminated by the twilight. They make arrangements to meet him when they're rudely shuttled along to a waiting area filled with other brigands and sellswords looking to make a deal with him. Eventually they are brought to a grand chamber where the purple-hued giant, clad in midnight black robes, sits upon his throne. The party's wizard shouts, "O fair Vecthos, we seek a magic item in your possession, a belt of storm giant strength. We know you have it and have no need for it, but our party's barbarian needs it for an upcoming battle." The giant croaks out, "There is but one thing I seek, and that is the skull of a death giant reaper. For you see, I need one to gain power from runic magic." The party's wizard retorts, "Tell us where, and it will be done." The giant scoffs and says, "Dalliard, show them the way," as he gestures for one of his servants to lead the party. What follows is the encounter I read during my Death Giant Reaper video, but I'll summarize. The party comes to Garlic Keep and hears a woman's voice screaming coming from upstairs. They rush up and are met with a frightening teleportability of the Death Giant. The party's druid conjures fire elementals and then transforms into a fire elemental. The party's barbarian rages and swings his greatsword, called Back Scratcher, and the wizard casts Slow on the Death Giant. In a matter of seconds, the once towering giant has been reduced to a fine red mist. The party's barbarian rips the head off and remarks, "Hopefully this'll be in good enough condition, eh?" The party then returns to Vecthos to get the reward, without realizing the horror that will befall the townspeople if Vecthos becomes a death giant shrouded one. So today's video is on the Death Giant Shrouded One. First up, what does Bigby tell us? Death Giant Shrouded Ones are death giants who use death runes inscribed on the skulls of their dead kin to power their death magic. A lot of death. Some say that the Raven Queen gave the Shrouded Ones the knowledge of this magic. Shrouded Ones don't wear the heavy armor of regular death giants, but instead wear long flowing robes. One use of the runic death magic is to conjure a shadowy black blade, which makes a scythe out of their staff. They can also conjure an aura of tormented souls for protection. Next up is stats. So the obvious comparison is to the Death Giant Reaper presented in the book. The Shrouded One has a lower AC, which is expected when they've doffed their armor. This is slightly offset by having 23 more HP. The core stats are similar, with the main difference being the Shrouded One's intelligence is higher at 23 compared to the regular Death Giant's 18, which makes sense as the Shrouded One is an intelligence-based caster. The Shrouded One also gains the language of Common, which I didn't initially note in my first video because I didn't realize it, but in retrospect, the Death Giant Reaper not having access to Common seems a little bit strange for a creature with intelligence of 18. Only knowing one language just seems a little bit off. The Shrouded One, like the regular Death Giant Reaper, has a good melee and ranged attack option. The ranged option is on the Shrouded One has an additional +3 to hit, bringing it to a total of +11. The damage is 2 higher for the Shrouded One per attack, but the Shrouded One gets 3 attacks per turn as part of its multi-attack, unlike the regular Death Giant Reaper's 2 attacks. The Shrouded One also gets a flavorful bonus of gaining temporary hit points if its Soul Burst attack damages a frightened creature. Now, temporary hit points don't stack in 5e, so this is likely to give the monster some additional survivability, but not tip the balance too far. If a straight up healed, I think it would be broken. The Scythe on the Shrouded One deals an additional 6 damage per attack, but again, this is 3 attacks per action. The Scythe attack on the Shrouded One also kills creatures that it lowers to 0 HP this way, which is very Grim Reaper-like, and I love it. The Shrouded One has the same frightening teleport as the regular Death Giant, but with a higher DC of 19 compared to 16. The Shrouded One also had innate spellcasting. It's intelligence based. If I'm honest, I'm a little bit disappointed with the spell selection. I want my boss monsters to have spells that are at least comparable to their attacks, but alas, we get 4 spells: Detect Magic, Mage Armor, Speak with Dead, and Tensor's Floating Disc. With Shrouded One's association with Undead, spells like Summon Undead would make perfect sense to me. It's a 3rd level spell, just like Speak with Dead. The Undead summon this way could be a skeletal monster with the already established skull motifs, but really limiting the creature with a 23 intelligence to level 3 spells seems a little dumb. I'd personally give the creature some reflavored battlefield control spells like Everard's Black Tentacles with skeletal hands popping out of the ground to grab the PCs. And last but not least, let's discuss the mechanics of the Death Rune. So the Death Rune itself is inscribed on the skull of a giant, making it a quote-unquote living thing with HP and AC. It regains all lost HP at the end of every turn and turns to dust if it is destroyed. If I was running online or in person, I would suggest that the skull be given a separate token on the map or a separate mini in front of you in person to mark it, to signal to the players that it can be attacked. While wielding the Death Rune, the Shrouded one may use his bonus action to use its Shroud of Souls ability, which gives creatures within 5 feet disadvantage on saving throws unless they beat a DC 19 Wisdom save. So in conclusion, if you couldn't tell by how long the video has gone on for, I've got a lot to say about this creature. It's interesting, it's complex, it fixes a lot of the gripes I had with the regular Death Giant Reaper. This creature builds an encounter for you. It's very dark, spooky, and witching. I have my gripes with the spell selection, but overall I love this monster. I give it an 18 out of 20. And if you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe. I like to read all comments. Thank you.